Hello and welcome. My name is Frederick and today we're going to talk about how to make a low box. In this video we're going to look at the low box. We're going to start with looking at how to construct it, and then towards the end of the video we'll go over some of the exercises that are useful to do with the low box. So first off the bat, what is it that you need to actually make a low box? I have with me here in front of me 6 pieces of wood that I got at the local lumber yard, I think it's called. Now, if you go to a lumber yard and if you know beforehand the dimensions of what you're going to be working with, it's often quite easy to get them to actually cut it to size, which will make this whole process a lot easier. I did have that, but then something, how should we say, unforeseen happened. So I came with the idea that this box would be made of pieces of wood that's 20 centimeters wide, and it wasn't quite 20 centimeters when I then got home. It's 19.5, so that means that most of the wood that I have here is the correct dimensions, but not all of it, so we'll have to cut some of it later on. Another note here, this is cheap pine wood. You can see there's stains and stuff on it. It's the cheapest wood that you can get. Also means that the total cost of this box is very low. I'm not sure if we convert it to euros, it's only a few, 2, 3, 4 euros, this sort of thing. So it's definitely on the cheap end of the spectrum. That's also why I don't particularly care about the stains, and we're going to give it a little bit of a finishing touch at the end, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so that's what you need. You'll need the wood. You can obviously just get one length of wood and then cut it yourself. If you have machines for this sort of thing, it will be easy to do. Otherwise, going to the hardware store or the lumber yard can save time. So I have a saw here to cut the wood. Then you'll need some sort of wood screw to put the wood together, and then sandpaper and the finishing touches depending on your needs. You don't need to do that. I just like to do a little bit just to make it look nice and have a good feel. All right, so let's get into it. So I'm just going to make the cuts using a handsaw. I've made a line and I'm following it on the outside all the way down. And obviously if you have a more advanced tool to make this, it would be even better. I'm using a kettlebell here just to keep the wood in place so it doesn't slide all over the place as I'm making the cut. Alright, so in the intervening time I've cut the woods to size. Now these 4 pieces are the pieces that are going to have the holes in them to secure the box together. What I've done is the lines here indicate where the holes are going to be. So I've made a line on all the sides that are going to receive the holes to pull the box together. I made a line, and then I marked where the screws are going to go. Now I have my little drill here, which I'm going to use. I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning. I'm just going to use a handheld. Even better if you have one of these stationary drills, but whatever you have, we'll improvise and make it work. So the same with the kettlebell. To secure things, obviously a vise is better, but we make do with what we have. So I have the line here. This is where the holes and the screws are going to go eventually. So I've marked where I want the holes, and I'm going to pre-drill them, which makes it easier to assemble the whole box when we get to that point. When I've done that, I'm also going to countersink them. This is just, it makes a little hole, how do you say, concave, so that it holds the head of the screw, so the head of the screw doesn't stick out. It's just a little, it just looks better, but it's not necessary, or you can improvise it with a bigger drill if you want to. So many ways to skin the cat, but I'm going to drill some holes and get on with it. And here I'm just going to start making the holes. Obviously pay attention and don't drill into something underneath that you don't want to have holes in. In the latter video here I am countersinking, I think it's called, which is just making a little hole so the screws sits more easily in the wood. Alright, so I've changed to a smaller drill bit here, and I'm just going to make a little bit of a pre-drill because I don't have a way of securing these really firmly in place. So it's quite crucial that they, and it's not going to be exact, but that they line up as much as possible. So I want to have these two holes line up. So I'm just going to hold this in place and then make a little drill into this piece of wood. I'm going to repeat this pattern all around, just so you have an idea, and that's it. What I'm doing here is simply lining up the two pieces of wood. I'm making a little pre-drill with a drill that's a smaller diameter than the screw, and then after that I screw in the screw. The pre-drill helps put the box together more easily and makes the whole process go a lot smoother, especially here with not having ways to secure the wood in place. Alright, so we've done the sides with the pre-drilling, putting the screws in. It is a little bit uneven, which the wood has a bend to it. I'm not sure if you can see here, like there's a little bit of a gap, which is the wood itself that's not straight, so it's hard to get completely straight, especially when you're not tightening it down. For our purposes, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be plenty strong, plenty sturdy if you really want to, and I might put more screws here to get the wood to come down a little bit, but it's not really essential. So now I have the lines here again with the holes. I'm just going to pre-drill the last bit and put the rest of the box together. All right. At this point, we're just going to repeat the process of pre-drilling and putting in screws. You can make as many or as few holes as you want, though 2 to 3 screws per side is a good number to aim for. Will keep the box together nicely. Alright, so that's, at this point the box is basically functional. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm probably still going to put a few more screws in the sides to see that that would be good, but like in terms of functionality, it's basically there. I'm going to put these screws and then I'm going to move into just some sandpaper and some, I think we have some wax or something, just to make it a little bit nicer looking, and that's it. You can obviously do the sanding with a machine like an orbital sander if you have one. The main goal here though is just to remove the splinters and other things that might prove a problem when using the box. Otherwise it's more of an aesthetic concern at this point. At this point we are ready to move into using the box. I'm showing a few first, some pushing variations here that are useful to do off a box of this sort of height. So here is incline push-ups. Likewise, the pistol squat is quite useful to do off a box as a way to gradually build the strength and the control to do it over a full range of motion. Can also put something onto the box and then gradually increase the depth. Same can be said for the straddle up, which is a mobility exercise. It can be quite hard to do off the floor, so having a box works quite well for this exercise. Finally, we have the single leg calf raise, where having a box means that you can do it with a greater range of motion than just off the floor. And that's it. Alright, the concluding remarks. So I've obviously not shown all the possible exercises that you can do with the box, just rough selection of what it could be used for, and you have to adapt it to your circumstances. Another note about the construction of the box. I wanted to show that the box can be built with very basic tools, which is to say tools that a lot of people will have at home. Oftentimes you'll see DIY videos and then they'll use professional level tools, like planing tools and various things that most people don't have access to, which is discouraging actually doing this thing. So this is it also means that of course the box will not be perfect, but again, that's besides the point. The box here costs a few euros and it will serve my purposes quite well. If you planned on using this for, say, something like heavy box squats, which is definitely a use that it could be used for, then I would consider reinforcing it with something, a cross brace down the middle. If you're not going to use it for anything that heavy, then you'll probably be fine. But then make an informed decision based on what you're going to be using the box for. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider leaving a thumbs up or hit that subscribe button. It would help me out tremendously. Besides that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.